There are small things that is hard to notice, but which allow you to see uh, what is exactly that which you don't understand or struggle to understand. And first thing is when you notice that something is strange, when you call something strange. And the second thing is when something seems to you stupid, something or someone. And there are many times when we want to call uh, people or things to be stupid, or situations to be stupid, but we just don't have a clear understanding of what do we mean by that. Because it's also worthy to understand that literally everything in the nature, everything around us, everything in our experienced reality is not random. Everything we experience has a cause. That's why when someone says it just happened on its own, we are slow to believe it. Well, it couldn't happen on its own. What do you mean? You're just hiding something. You just want to um, distance your agency, pretend that it's not your responsibility, pretend that there was nothing for you to do. And we would think this way because we would know that in our experience, everything has a reason to be the way it is. There is a chain on which we ground our reasoning, our understanding, on which we ground basically our comprehension of the world and life we live. And it's so deep within us that even if we would claim that things are random, we act as if we recognize that they are not, because we act to do something and we expect something to be. We expect the result of our action. So we expect the world to be the certain way. We have expectations. We have the predicting system. So which basically means we would try to um, both consciously and unconsciously um, recognize the future possibilities. Right. And this is very important because it says that there is a chain of causal uh, relationships. What else does it mean? Well, this means for you that the things you call strange and stupid, you basically define as un incomprehensive for yourself. Um, you just basically confirm or recognize that you fail to see the reasoning behind those events or the reasoning of those people or reasoning behind their actions. You just fail to see it, and so that's why that it would be strange for you, because you fail to predict it. You fail to recognize the causal relationships. And what does it mean? For you, it means that if you would consciously list the things that you struggle to understand, you can add to the list the thing that irritate you precisely because you find them just you disagree. with the logic behind it. Let's say you claim the person to be stupid not because you fail to see his point, but you just disagree with his point and you disagree that it makes a good sense, which also could mean that you don't completely see his point, right? But it could also mean that you desire the opposing view, you desire the opposing theory, you desire to live by opposing theory and to have the opposing theory. And so you're in desire of what he offers or of what situations offers could irritate you and anger you. And so that's why you could claim it to be strange or stupid. There could be other reasons, such as, well, you just want to state that the person lacks cognitive capacity. So maybe you want to claim that he thinks slow or analyzes slow, um, and which could be your which kind of could have a double meaning, because it could mean that you actually think that he's just being slow, but it also could mean that, well, maybe you say that he's stupid instead that he's slow because you don't recognize what is off about him. And this is very important, because oftentimes when you claim something to be strange and stupid, you can't even name the reason, the precise and exact reason why it is off for you, why you don't recognize what's happening here, because this is exactly what we define by strange. And stupid would be a little bit different, but essentially it's similar, because when you claim something to be stupid, you claim it to be uh absurd, right, logical. And since nothing is actually logical, nothing is actually absurd, and everything is linked into a causal chain of relationships, right? Then it is you who is struggling to see clearly the chain of cause and effect, you know. And I will bring you the life example, and it was with my professor. So, um, uh, I've been taking a class, and then um, my professor been reviewing my exam, which he already graded, and he was just returning it to us and showing the grade. And so when I took, I saw the kind of low grade, but I also saw that the professor was too kind of critical to me. He was too like, um, he would find the mistakes in smaller things, which I would think that they're obvious. They're the most obvious things, and I just didn't write them because I would think that it's obvious. But he just wanted me to write something word in word, right? And so um, he would reduce the grade for me. And so this kind of annoyed me, and I thought maybe he's too critical to me, maybe he just doesn't like me. And then, but when I went to talk to him, it seemed to me that it's not because he doesn't like me in particular. He just actually thinks it's important. And was kind of fast to think that, well, he is just stupid or strange, because this is not important. And he knows why it's not important, because he also can understand what I meant. Maybe I didn't wrote that it was like 15 cars in the equation, but in the equation you could get exactly which uh, the amount was, like what was the number linked to. And well, he I thought would know, able to listen to me, even me who is really into the subject and kind of a decent sort of student, uh, struggles to listen to him. So no one listens to him, everyone would cheat, and he basically incentivizes this cheating. So I had a lot of problems with the professor. And then I just took a moment to think, well, why does it irritates me so much? And why do I think that he's illogical? Why do I think that he's stupid? And the interesting thought came into my mind is that, well, it's never been a trouble for me before that he's been terrible in explaining uh, when I had decent grades, when I had good grades. He still has been terrible in explaining, but I just didn't had the problems with it. Other people have, and when they were complaining to me, I was like, well, people, you're just feeling a victim. You're just complaining. Just go and study, and you will like have everything all right. And so, but when it kind of came to me, now I saw all these reasons to be irritated and angry with him, and now I saw, like, well, he's obviously the wrong one, and now it matters to me. But another thing I also realized is that um, I actually and so I've been thinking like he's a terrible teacher, right? And it actually makes sense to me for me to be angry with him, and maybe like um so he's the wrong one, right? But then just after thinking about it for a while, I was just like, um well, but it's not actually that he is stupid, because many economists, right, many professors, they explain something in a very complex way which you struggle to understand. uh, and well, obviously I noticed that before that wasn't a problem for me. So it's not really the problem is not really in him. And uh, I realized that, well, after doing uh, after thinking for a while, I realized that, well, I understand also why is he the way he is, why he sees it as something important, because well, other students fail to do this, and it's not obvious for other students, so he kind of needs to grade everyone equally. And then right, he's terrible in explaining, but it's not because he wants to be terrible. It just already like linked completely to his personality and the way he explains things and the way he thinks. and and it's kind of me who just is not able to grab his thinking and his explanation, right? Too, like, um so it's not, it's different. There is a difference between someone being stupid and you not being able to grasp what they say. And well, this is important because, well, then you, because if you fail to see it, that people are not strange and stupid, they just have reasons for acting the way they do. They are reasons for them to act the way they do. Then you just take the life personally, and you just have the problem with everyone. But when you start to recognize the reason behind their actions, behind their um, let's say, paradigm, the way they see the world, the way they act, then it becomes hard for you just to be judging. You start being understanding instead, and then more insights kind of pop up to you, and you see clearer what can be done in the situation with what you have at hand. And so another example I want to bring is the relationship between man and woman, because I think it's would be a um, popular topic of a woman claiming some man to be strange and stupid, and man claiming have an exact and specific claim, which kind of have a double meaning in them. The one that the person claiming it doesn't even recognize himself. And so, let's say when you have a person that you have a problem with, right? Let's say he's too easygoing, like, all right, the man could say to the woman, well, uh, she acts too open with everyone, right? She loves too much, joking. She's kind of too easygoing with everyone. Um, and he can link it to stupidity, right? But what he would fail to see is the motivation behind her actions and the reasons behind her actions. He would fail, therefore, to see the experience which led her to choose this behavioral pattern and to act this way. And so he claims it to be strange and stupid, but there are obviously causal reason to it, which he just fails to see. And if he fails to see it, he also fails to see the pattern in her behavior, he fails to see her motivations, and so he fails to just understand her personality. And so, well, it's not good for him too. Because if you can't understand the person, how are you going to communicate with him? And so he probably would be just uh, judging her silently or openly, um, and just uh, I don't know, avoid communication or have a frustrating communication. Um, and right, so this tells us that we have limitations to our understanding, um, and we have to be careful and open to recognize it. And we will recognize it when we will understand that there is, if there is the reason, the cause for some effect, then this is not stupid. This has an explanation. This is not strange. It has the explanation. It just has the kind of explanation which you are either can't see or are not willing to see. But now, when you are aware of it, you can think about it instead. You can now analyze the person or situation instead. And it's also a good way to see where you can improve, or what kind of knowledge you're lacking. So, because maybe if you have the framework of a strict person who has a disciplined um, morality, morality of justice, morality of discipline, um, then perhaps you would claim people who are articulate, um, expressive, mm, or undisciplined as strange, let's say, right? And then you would judge them. But if you would recognize instead that, well, they have this tendency towards freedom and articulation, expression of themselves, because it is their morality. It is what they consider as moral. They consider moral uh, as not to be restricted, and they see control as restrictions. They see rules as restrictions, and therefore prison. And so that's how they want to be free. That's what is morality to them. And well, when you see it, when you start recognizing, well, they do want to be expressive because they don't want to be controlled. And this is their way of protesting. They protest because they think that there is some who are trying to manipulate and control them. They protesting because they feel that they are some who try to dictate to them their life. They have a different way of living than you and your camp, because they perhaps, well, perhaps they just have a different goal and motivations, and also perhaps they are not accepting of your lifestyle because they feel and they have a negative response because they feel threatened. They feel that you want to control them. They feel that you want to dictate to them. That's why they're protesting against you. This is another way of seeing it, right? And when you can recognize it, now the people who seem to you lazy and yelling and screaming strange, now you see the chain, you understand their action, you understand the whys. Well, it doesn't mean that they're not lazy and screaming and annoying. It means now only that there is a reason for them to be this. And if you look at the root, if you look at the whys, then you can deal with the reason. You can do something so people would not be threatened. You can invite them to see how your life doesn't threaten their freedom, um, and but ensures their growth. You can highlight how they struggle with what they choose instead of being um, in advantage and having the benefit they think they have. Let's say you can highlight how the freedom they think they have is not actually freedom, let's say, for you, and you can reason why is it not a freedom for you when you understand the reason behind their protest and screams, right? So when you recognize that everything has a reason, you start looking at the reason and dealing with